It's Friday, the 10th of May, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes, let's go. Story number 1, fears that consumers will stop spending outside the bare necessities has really hit the equities market, with the share prices of, that's quite a list, JB Hi-Fi and Baby Bunting, Super Retail Group, Nick Scali, Harvey Norman and Temple & Webster all falling sharply yesterday.
All these stocks are part of what's known as the Consumer Discretionary Index on the ASX, and that fell more than 2.5% yesterday, reflecting fears that given interest rates will stay higher for longer, people won't have much discretionary income to spend. What triggered the sell-off yesterday was bad news from retail darling JB Hi-Fi. It posted flat sales during the March quarter, share price down 4.5%. Super Retail came out. Super Retail owns Rebel, Supercheap Auto, BCF, etc. Gave a sales update. Its share price fell 5.2%. Worst of all was Baby Bunting. After its sales update, its share price fell 23%. Temple & Webster was another hard hit, falling 18%. Same story across all of retail. Families don't have money after they pay for housing and insurance and education and other necessary items to spend. This is seen in the official retail sales numbers and will be weighing heavily on the Reserve Bank when it thinks about interest rates. Certainly consumer spending, which is the biggest part of the overall economy, is stumbling.
Yeah, Sean, is it everyone that's hurting? Because earlier in the week, we were talking about the fact that the front end, the pointy end of Qantas planes are being full again. So clearly some people are spending.
Very true. What's happening is there's a two-speed consumer pattern emerging in the economy. Those with mortgages and rental accommodation are feeling it. The older and wealthier seem to be in pretty good shape. Katrina Burns from Wilson Asset Management called it a mixed consumer, with older generations faring better than younger generations. Now, speaking to the Financial Review, she said in the US, companies like McDonald's, Starbucks and Estee Lauder were struggling. Norwegian Cruise Lines, Delta Airlines, they're doing pretty well. Makes it tricky for the Reserve Bank when there's this two-speed consumer going on.
Sean, moving on to story number 2 now, and lower profit margins have reduced earnings at the Commonwealth Bank, though the bank's management says the economy is sound, and while households are hurting, higher immigration is helping growth.
Commonwealth Bank's March quarter cash net profit came in at $2.4 billion, 5% lower than a year earlier, higher than consensus. Remember, the Commonwealth Bank, this is only 3 months. The other majors we've spoken about over the last week were 6 months. Over the quarter, Commonwealth Bank grew business lending faster than the average of the other major banks, but home loans and household deposit growth was lower. CEO Matt Comyn pointed to improved momentum in retail banking, suggesting it could be ending its period of market share losses. He was also upbeat about the economy, highlighting that unemployment remains low, supported by business and government investment. The Commonwealth Bank's share price closed down more than 2% yesterday.
Sean, story number 3, the Albanese government has adopted a new gas strategy, locking its use in beyond 2050 and hoping it will aid in the transition to renewables, to power manufacturing and to help trade partners manage their transitions as well.
The Future Gas Strategy released yesterday includes measures to help abate emissions from gas production, including promoting the use of carbon capture and storage and minimising the release of methane when gas is extracted. There will be a use it or lose it provision as well, whereby companies won't be able to sit on untapped reserves. Now, yesterday, the Prime Minister said Rio Tinto had provided an example of the need to use gas in the transition to renewables. Rio's just signed a major deal for renewables, but it said firming capacity, what's known as firming capacity, will be provided by gas. Firming capacity is energy used to keep the grid stable in peak and weak times.
Story number 4, new research from the Australian HR Institute shows almost 20% of workers are not proficient in their role, and 57% of employers believe that the skills gap is harming an organisation.
The survey of 600 plus senior HR professionals and business leaders revealed that wage expectations were higher in the public sector than in the private sector, but public sector employees were more likely to be perceived as not proficient. It shows that demand for labour will continue to grow strongly over the next few months. Many employers are actually struggling to recruit the people they want. People are changing jobs more regularly. There are also job losses on the horizon, with almost a quarter of employees planning to make workers redundant in the June 2024 quarter.
Sean, story number 5. I've been looking forward to this one. Astronomers have searched for years for rocky planets beyond our solar system with an atmosphere, and you need an atmosphere really, for any possibility of that planet harbouring life. Well, finally, they found one.
There's probably not much life on it because it has a surface of molten rock. The planet is what's known as a super-Earth, a rocky world significantly larger than our planet, but smaller than Neptune. It orbits very close to a star, dimmer and slightly less massive than our sun, rapidly completing an orbit every 18 hours or so. Infrared observations using 2 instruments aboard the James Webb Space Telescope indicate the presence of a substantial, if inhospitable, atmosphere, perhaps continuously being replenished by gases released from a vast ocean of magma. According to Reuters, the planet, called Janssen, is about 8.8 times more massive than Earth, diameter about twice that of our planet. The surface temperature is around 1,725 degrees Celsius, located in our Milky Way, about 41 light years from Earth, which is actually 41 times 5.9 trillion miles away.
There we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 10th of May, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to check out our sister podcast, How Do They Afford That?, which comes out every Wednesday. This week's episode is all about the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. I'll put a link in today's show notes as well. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.